A woman finishes breast cancer treatment. Scans are clean. 5 years pass. 10 years pass. She is declared cured. Then one Tuesday, a cell wakes up. A single cancer cell that has been hiding in her bone marrow for 11 years suddenly begins to divide. Within 6 months, she has metastatic disease. This is dormancy. And until recently, nobody understood it. The cells did not mutate. They did not evolve resistance. They did not hide from the immune system through disguise. They simply stopped dividing. They went quiet. They waited. And then, for reasons that seemed random, they woke up. In mathematics, we have a name for this. We call it a metastable state. A system that appears stationary but is actually one perturbation away from a completely different behavior. The cell is not dead. The cell is not active. The cell is in a mathematical waiting room between two attractors. And here is what makes dormancy so dangerous. Every tool we use to detect cancer looks for activity. Metabolic activity on a PET scan. Proliferation markers in a biopsy. Circulating tumor DNA in blood. Dormant cells show none of these signals. They are mathematically invisible. The treatment appears to work perfectly. The disease appears to be gone. And for years it is. Until the mathematical conditions that were holding the cells dormant change. Then the system transitions. The dormant attractor loses stability. The proliferation attractor takes over. And a cancer that was declared cured returns with aggressive force. Now apply this to markets. Consider value investing. For most of the 20th century, buying undervalued companies with strong fundamentals was the dominant winning strategy. Then, starting around 2009, value investing stopped working. For over a decade, growth stocks crushed value stocks. Fundamentals seemed to stop mattering. Every hedge fund that stuck with value underperformed. Many shut down. The strategy was declared dead. Then in 2022, almost overnight, value came back. The exact same approach that had failed for 13 years suddenly started working again. What happened? Value investing entered dormancy. The mathematical conditions that had made it the winning strategy changed with the arrival of zero interest rates and quantitative easing. The strategy did not die. It went quiet. It waited in the metastable state. And when interest rates rose in 2022, the conditions flipped back. The dormant attractor lost stability. The value attractor took over. Same strategy, same mathematics, just different macroeconomic conditions determining which attractor dominated. This is the key insight. Strategies do not live and die. Strategies enter dormancy and return when the underlying regime changes. The mathematics of dormancy is the same in both systems. In cancer biology, we model dormancy using a concept from dynamical systems theory called a double well potential. Imagine a landscape with two valleys separated by a hill. A ball placed in one valley will stay there until enough energy arrives to push it over the hill. Then it rolls into the other valley and stays there. One valley represents the dormant state. The other valley represents the proliferating state. The hill between them is the activation energy. Dormant cells sit in their valley for years. Then a stress signal arrives. Inflammation from an infection, a hormonal shift, a surgery elsewhere in the body. The activation energy arrives. The cell transitions to the other valley. Metastasis begins. Markets have the same double well structure. Value and growth are two attractors. Momentum and mean reversion are two attractors. Low volatility and high volatility are two attractors. The regime variables, interest rates, inflation, credit conditions, determine which valley is currently favored. When those variables shift enough, the landscape tilts. The dormant attractor becomes the active one. The strategy that has been quiet for a decade becomes the dominant force overnight. Here is the practical insight. In cancer biology, dormancy has changed how we think about cure. We no longer ask whether we killed every cancer cell. We ask whether we have changed the patient's biology enough that dormant cells stay dormant forever. This is called durable remission. It is maintained by keeping the activation energy high. You manage the immune system. You reduce chronic inflammation. You maintain metabolic stability. You keep the dormant cells in their valley by keeping the hill between the valleys tall. In investing, the same principle applies. You do not abandon a strategy because it is currently underperforming. You ask whether the underlying mathematical conditions that made it work have disappeared permanently, or whether the strategy has entered dormancy. If the strategy is dormant, you maintain exposure. Small exposure, enough to capture the return when the regime flips. Because you cannot predict when the activation energy will arrive, you can only position yourself so that you are still in the market when it does. This is why structural diversity matters across all time scales, not just across asset classes today, but across strategies that work in different regimes. Momentum for trending markets, value for mean reverting markets, quality for defensive regimes, size for recovery regimes. Each of these strategies is an attractor in the landscape. Each spends years in dormancy while another dominates, and each returns when the regime shifts. A portfolio that contains only the currently winning strategy is maximally vulnerable to regime change. A portfolio that maintains positions across dormant strategies is structurally resilient to regime change. The bio-flywheel methodology treats this as a first principle. You never abandon a dormant attractor. You reduce exposure. You do not eliminate exposure, because you cannot know in advance when dormancy ends. But you can be certain of one thing: it will end. The mathematics of dormancy guarantees it. Every strategy that has ever worked will work again. Every strategy that has ever failed will fail again. The landscape oscillates. The attractors rotate. The system is not linear. It is a cycle between dormant and active states driven by macroeconomic regime variables that you cannot predict but can always observe in hindsight. This is why patient capital wins over long time horizons. Not because patient investors are smarter, because patient investors are still in position when dormancy ends. If you want to map the strategy landscape of your own portfolio, the Market Geometry Workbook includes a regime tracker in the companion Excel file that logs which attractors are currently dominant based on correlation structure. Download it using the link below. And if you are new to the series, start from video 1. Each video builds on the last. Video 1, Why Therapies Fail. Video 2, The Math of Market Crashes. Video 3, The Fiedler Value. Video 4, Cancer Biology and Market Structure. Video 5, Adaptive Therapy. Video 6, This Video, The Mathematics of Dormancy. In the next video, we explore metabolic theory. Why do some cancers grow explosively while others stay indolent for decades? Why do some investment strategies compound rapidly while others barely keep pace with inflation. The mathematics of energy and metabolism explains both. Subscribe so you do not miss it. This is advanced mathematics for everyone.